Right. Now, I was in Rwanda a few weeks ago to speak. That was my first time. Usually I go to maybe Europe and maybe other countries outside, but it was my first experience visiting Africa, to speak. And so I'm sure we all know the story of Rwanda. You can see before and after. Rwanda has gone through a lot of transformation. Okay? I went to the Akagera Park. This park from Kigali is about 2.5 hours. But even within the park, you drive for about 5.5 hours. Then, you learn so much from animals. You learn so much from the organization, the environment. It's wildlife. But it's not something, that is done casually. You notice that even to go into the place, about $250. Then if you're coming from Europe, about €400, just to go into a park and go and watch animals. Some people say, that's a lot of money. But for the experience that you take away from there, it's massive. Rwanda's journey of transformation. I'm sure we know the story of the genocide in 1994, when about 800,000 people died, the Tutsi and the Hutus, and, there was widespread destruction and so on and so forth. Then came in Paul Kagame, as the leader. And he spearheaded the program, an ambitious program of national unity and rebuilding, the country. All right? Okay, so since 2000, the GDP, increased from 29 to 48%. Then also, you could see that tourism now, has really gone up. What do they produce? Tea and maybe coffee, and potatoes. They don't have the oil that we have, But Rwanda, if you have the opportunity to go there, I'm just saying, if you have the opportunity, it's a place to go. And now it's visa on arrival, so it's not really something that is very challenging. But I noticed there that the leadership is really is transformational, and the service is first class. All right. What are the key elements of Rwanda's post-conflict strategy? Restoring stability and the rule of law. You can imagine Nigeria with the rule of law in place. In fact, there will be so much transformation. All right, there's rule of law, but we still have some work to do. They diversified the economy beyond reliance on just agriculture. In Rwanda, you have the top companies, Google, Microsoft, they're having their meetings, exhibition, conferences in Rwanda. Everybody is going there. For example, if you drop a transparent bag of $100,000 on the table, you find that even a week after, nobody will touch it. Maybe at the bus stop. Traffic rules, 60 kilometers per hour, everything. In fact, now Rwanda is the most secure, safest country in Africa. The cleanest in Africa. Service delivery. They are not paying lip service to it. They are doing it, and it's transparent. Everybody is going there. Argentines, Italians, and so on and so forth. And it's flowing from leadership. So, what are the lessons that we can learn from Rwanda? What are the things that they do? Sustainable development. They train leaders on implementing, they have a green economy. It's not, you can't leave your house and have plastic in your car. Maybe you have a bottle of water. You can't even see it anywhere. You are not allowed to drop plastic anywhere. Everywhere is clean. All right? And they leverage on technology. That is taken for, there is a Wi-Fi everywhere. Things are it's just so amazing, and experiential. Okay. So, but I want to share something, a takeaway as we wrap up. about, what we can. So we don't just speak to, the problems. What are the solutions that we can learn, from? There's what you call the Chandler Good Government Index, list of about 100 countries in Africa. And there's some pillars, when you look at, in terms of ranking, the first three in Africa, in terms of leadership and in terms of good governance, you have, the first one is Mauritius. You can Google it. It will help you, the second one is Rwanda. Rwanda is, in Africa, they're, I think, number 2 in terms of good governance. In the world, they're ranked number 56. Now, in Africa, Rwanda is ranked number 2. Good governance. Guess what? Nigeria is ranked number 43 in terms of good governance. Then I don't even want to talk about the world. What are the pillars? What are the pillars? The pillars are centered around robust laws. They're centered around leadership, and they're also centered around strong institutions. In Nigeria, we don't really have strong institutions. And where you don't have strong institutions, what happens? You won't have growth. We have laws, but our laws are not really robust. And those things, those are pillars that help countries to really, where you can see transformation. So when we talk about service delivery, there must be certain things in place that will help, you have an enabling environment for things to work. So I'm just hoping, that we can get it right. We would not just be looking at Rwanda, because now, they're getting a lot of patronage. For example, the UK wanted to, move their, illegal immigrants to Rwanda. And they had already paid about 250 million pounds or 300 million pounds. But it didn't work. I think the parliament kicked against it. They paid that kind of money and said, look, and they said, Rwanda said, we will provide accommodation for the illegal immigrants. So they are just gone far ahead. For us, I believe that it's time to do the work. Just like Dr. Ifenyinwa said, we need to begin to have a rethink. That can we continue on this path? And I know that, Gandhi said, you become the change that you want the world to see. It can start from you. All right? Instead of just complaining, you ask yourself, what am I able to do personally to make a difference? Even to my neighbor. What are those things that I can begin to, thank you, sir. All right? What are those things I can begin to do? So let me just quickly read out those pillars. Number 1 is leadership and foresight, which you can see that in Kigame. He has foresight as a leader, vision. Number 2, robust laws and policies. Number 3, strong institutions. Number 4, attractive marketplace. People don't want to come to your country and find out that, look, they have challenges with pricing and so on and so forth. And I don't want to go into certain areas, so I don't sound political here. Okay, so the next thing is also global influence and reputation. What's globally? Do we have a foreign policy in place that shows that we are really, up there, intentionally? And the last one, which I think, I spoke to when I started off, is helping people rise. How many people are we lifting up? Even as we're here, Dr. Ifenyinwa talked about mentorship, that the youth, when you talk about role models, when they talk about influencers, the influencers, that really resonates with the youth now are just, musical artists, Nollywood, and not, when we have distinguished personalities like Dr. Adedayo here, who can years and years of, also Dr. Duruji, and I'm sure there are so many of us here that can really, and we have to be intentional. The young ones, because when you talk about leaving a legacy, when you leave the stage, how many people will stand up and say, if not for, just like Funto said about Papa, that he's poured out himself in so many people, he's reproduced himself. So on a final note, food for thought. What's going to be your legacy when you leave the stage? How many people's lives would you have impacted? And I believe that this session will not just be another session where we just listen. As we leave this place, we'll begin to walk the talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Please, a round of applause, please. More. Please, you may be seated. Okay, so we've been able to, our speaker just touched base with leadership examples using Rwanda as a case study, the transformation and development by technology, the environmental development, and many other things that were put in place in Rwanda, transforming from the genocide period till the social reconstruction and all the general reconstructions that have taken place in Rwanda. Talked about the leadership and foresight, robust laws and policies, strong institutions, and the robust marketplace also, and asked that we consider helping people. As a food for thought, what will be your legacy when you're leaving the stage? Thank you so much again for all the insights you brought to us, sir. Now we'll be going into questions and answers. If you have any question for the speakers, any of the speakers, please.